and welcome back to Sundays in the Garden. If you're new here, my name is Sarah and on this channel I share all of the things I'm getting up to in my English cottage garden and allotment area. If you're new, I would really love for you to subscribe so you can stay up to date with everything I'm sharing at the end of 2024 and into 2025. In today's video, I'm going to share with you my top garden and allotment jobs for the month of September.
Job number 1 is tomato care. Now that the season is drawing to a close, I'm going to try and help my fruit to ripen by cutting off the top of the plant above the final truss up here. As you can see, there are loads of lovely green fruits on here, but they have yet to ripen. So another way I can help these fruits to potentially ripen a bit faster is to remove some of the lower leaves and foliage and to cut out any unnecessary leaves, meaning the plant can put all its energy into ripening the fruit, and fingers crossed for some red tomatoes in a few weeks. Job number 2, September seed sowing.
Even though we're now in September, we can still be planting seeds. So this is what I'm going to be sowing this month. First of all, I've got some radishes because these are quite quick to grow and I hope that I can still enjoy these towards the end of September into early October, weather dependent. Lettuce can still be sown in September because it grows reasonably quickly and you can enjoy the small leaves even if the plants don't get very big. Last year I actually sowed lettuce in the greenhouse when the tomatoes and cucumbers had finished, and I enjoyed lettuce throughout the winter months as well. I'm also going to be sowing some Zulu and some wild rocket because these should grow reasonably quickly, and again hopefully I can harvest some before the end of September. I am also going to try sowing some turnips in the bed where the broad beans were previously and see how they do, and additionally some more carrots. It's quite late in the season to be sowing carrots. This packet in particular says sow by July, and this one here says I should be sowing the turnips by July as well. But I think they'll do okay because they're very hardy over the winter, in particular the turnips, so fingers crossed for these in the bed where the broad beans were. Speaking of broad beans, many people sow their broad beans now for an early crop next year. My broad beans were my absolute success story this year because they just grew absolutely massive above my head, the tallest broad beans I had seen anywhere, and they produced masses of beans which I enjoyed for months. So you can sow broad beans now in the hopes of an earlier crop next year. I actually sowed my huge broad beans in November last year, and I sowed these red epicure variety by Unwins and also the Bunyards exhibition also by Unwins, and these were the ones that did brilliantly for me. I don't think either did actually better, maybe the red ones were actually slightly taller, but really they both did brilliantly, and I sowed these in November, so you could get a head start and sow them earlier, but I'm going to be going with November again and hoping I hit the same results as last time. Additionally, there's loads of flowers and things you can be starting off in autumn now for next year. I'm going to be sowing some nigella in pots in the greenhouse, and they will stay in the greenhouse in their pots until next spring. Then I may leave them in the pots just for some pretty colour in pots, or I may transfer them to the garden at that point. You could also be sowing poppies as well. I've got lots of these poppies that are self-seeding in the vegetable area, so I probably won't need to sow them, but things like poppies can be sown now in September as well. Another thing I'm going to be sowing is kale because this is a very, very hardy crop and it's a great winter crop to keep you going through the hungry gap in the winter. So kale is going to be another staple for me in September to make sure I have some food growing in the winter months.
Job number 3 is clear areas ready for new planting. As my summer crops have finished, this bed had onions and leeks in it. I am now clearing the beds ready for the winter crops. In these beds I'm going to have things like broad beans, turnips and kale. Job number 4 is collect seeds for next year. As our seed pods start to dry out, as I have found here with my pink poppies, just cut off the seed heads and then save the seeds in some kind of envelope ready for next season. It's lovely to know that plants grown in your very own garden are producing the seeds for the next year. You can leave them to self-sow, but if you want to move them about, this is the best way to collect your seeds. Just don't forget to label the packet. Job number 5 is harvest time. If there was ever a month to be a gardener, I think September is it. With produce aplenty and harvests coming out of our ears, I've got things like beans, courgettes, rhubarb, blackberries. All of our hard work pays off in September. Job number 6 is pumpkin maintenance. If, like me, you're growing pumpkins and they have gone a bit crazy like these ones here that keep trying to climb up my bean arch, then it can be time to help them out a bit. So you can see down here I've got a fruit, but to help it ripen, I am just going to take off the leaves surrounding it. This means the sun can get to the fruit and help it turn from green to orange. There are also 2 more around the corner, both sitting on concrete slabs, which is great because it will help prevent fruit rotting. Job number 7, stake and support your dahlias. If, like me, you're growing dahlias this year, they are probably starting to reach for the sky and flower now, but with the flowers comes extra weight, so make sure they're well supported with canes. Job number 8, deadhead to keep flowers blooming. My roses, dahlias and other plants are in full bloom mainly because I keep deadheading. Keep deadheading to keep those flowers coming. Job number 9, prune lavender. If you haven't already, you'll find that your lavender is now starting to look very tired and dry, so it's time to prune it back to keep it in good shape for next season. This is one of my favourite tasks, particularly as the smell reminds me of my wedding confetti. We use this very lavender in the confetti on our wedding day, and I'm now saving this lavender for my sister's wedding next year. It's a lovely job and I really enjoy cutting it back. Drying it out and then mixing it with rose petals also collected from our garden to create the most wonderful confetti. I can't wait. It's going to be the most magical day. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video today, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next week where I'm going to be doing some tidying up.